So it's a great pleasure to share with you some of my small experience about working in research lab. So students, faculty members and other interesting community over here in this occasion, a very good afternoon to all of you. Okay, by the time I will talk, before going to the presentation, this interacting in this forum coming to me. Like in this occasion, I think all my teachers, and I'm grateful to have all of them. So I thank all my teachers from Pioneer College, and I pray for Professor K.T. Kunjikrishnan sir, who was a pioneer who took initiative to mold the students, scientists, and gave opportunity to me to reach in this forum today. So I thank all my teachers. I think my voice is audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we have enabled screen sharing for you.
Okay, okay. I will share
Kindly
it.
try.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible now. Thank you.
Okay, okay. It is in presentation mode only, right? Can you? You're seeing in presentation mode, full screen.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. Before going to the topic nanofibers, I would like to share with you all students some of the thoughts about material science and how it relates to chemistry. So I have worked in mainly on materials, polymer materials in my PhD. So we have to connect this material and chemistry so that students will get an idea how can they proceed for their future studies, or which field they would like to work and all. So material science is relatively a new and very broad field actually. It involves applications from a number of scientific disciplines that contribute to the creation of new materials. So we, the chemists, play a predominant role in material science because chemistry provides information about the structure and composition of material, as well as the process to synthesize, how to synthesize a material that involves pure chemistry. So it's an amazing subject, isn't it? So material scientists do everything from fundamental research on the chemical properties of material for developing new materials and modifying the formulation of existing material to suit new applications. So novel material development and molding the material, tuning the material property to get new applications. This makes science to do with the help of chemistry. So the material scientist will work with engineer, process specialist, and it is a multidisciplinary area. Majority of the work they will do in actually in laboratory, chemistry laboratory. Materials works they will do in chemistry laboratory. So this in this occasion I would like to tell that the laboratory experience and research experience comes from our chemistry lab from our colleges. Okay, so making the material scientist starting from the lab. So all students, so all who are working here. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You can carry on.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am. You can.
My connection is poor. It seems, right?
Yeah, it seems like poor, but it's audible.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So where I was talking, no response.
Normally the responses, I think, will not come directly in this webinar. So
Yes.
you can ask them to chat so that they can chat and you can see.
Yeah. So any question or anything, they can chat in the chat box.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. So what I was telling is these material scientists start born from the laboratories, the chemistry laboratories. So students utilize it and ask right question from the lab, which will make you to the next step of making material scientists. So I congratulate Department of Chemistry, Viras College, for inaugurating a wonderful realm of research laboratory. Hello.
Ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. So coming to the topic, electrospun polymer nanofibers, challenges, innovations and applications. So when discussing about the nanofiber, first we would like to know what is nano. So the definition of nano is 1 billionth. So a nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. Now let's imagine the size. First you see, this is a baseball bat about 1 meter length. If you divide the length by 100, then you will get the size of my fingertip, which is about 1 centimeter. Take that length and divide it by 10, you will end up with the size of a needle eye. And take that needle eye, again divided by 10, you will end up with the human hair. That's about 100 micrometer. This is the smallest division which would be able to see by our naked eye. Okay. Take that and divide it by 10 again, you will get a blood cell. That is about 10 micrometer. This blood cell, if you divide it by 10 again, you will get a bacteria about 1 micrometer. Take one bacteria and divide by 10, divided by 100. No, divided by 10, then you will end up with the virus. So we are now very close to nanometer. Virus is in the range of 100 nanometer. Take the virus and divide it by 100. You will be end up with a DNA. You get half the size of the DNA, which is around 1 nanometer. So 1 nanometer means only 5 atoms sitting end to end. So the nanometer means 1 billionth of a meter. So what? So all are talking about nano, and it became buzz in the world. So what actually this nano will do? Why all are interested in nano? The answer is right here. This, you know that whatever image you are see here, this is the first computer come in 1940s. It is very bigger, complicated and not smarter also. Now you look at the smartphone, it is smarter and millions of times more powerful than the first computer. So nanotechnology is not simply about making the things smaller, but lot of applications are there in this case. So when we make the things smaller, there will be dramatic change in the properties occurs. One example, best example is our gold. So this is a gold ring. If you are making like a chips, the properties is not changing. But further, if you are reducing the size to nanometer level, how it is varying, you can see. So material properties such as optical absorption changes with the size of the gold nanoparticle. So there is a dramatic change in properties when we go to the nano regime. So now when we are talking about the history, the first name comes out to our mind is Dr. Richard Feynman. So all might have heard about his famous lecture given in American Physical Society meeting at Caltech in 1959. So the name of the lecture is "There is a plenty of room at the bottom," and you can see that still has been done, but in which an enormous amount can be done in principle. So what I want to talk about is the manipulating and controlling things on a smaller scale. So this is one famous sentence from his talk. So it means that a lot of ideas and work we have to make, we can manipulate into nanoscale, and all the machines can become to the nano level. So there are a lot of opportunities he's shown in 1959 itself. Also, the term nanotechnology is coined by Norio Taniguchi in 1974 in a scientific conference by referring material with a dimension in the nanoscale. However, this nanoscale material is not recently discovered. It dates back from 4th century AD. Romans were using this nano-sized metal to decorate glass and cups. You can see this famous photograph. This is known as Lycurgus cup. It's unique in many ways. It's made by a mysterious process at the time, which resulted in a phenomenon known as a dichromic glass. So which was fabricated from nanoparticles of gold and silver that were embedded in the glass. So when we are coming to nanostructures, the world of nanomaterial comprises a wide range of intricate material with outstanding performance, outstanding physical and chemical properties and characteristics. So these material include zero-dimensional nanoparticles, nanomaterial, one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional. So hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now we can
So
hear you.
up to what you listened, please, can you please tell? Hello. Anyone can just tell which slide you are listening?
The different dimensions, ma'am.
Okay. Now the screen is visible.
No, it's not actually visible right now.
Okay. I will share 1 second, please wait.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's visible right now. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are having nanofibers with different dimensions, as I told. These material includes zero-dimensional nanoparticles or quantum dot, one-dimensional nanowires, nanorods, nanofibers, and nanotubes, and two-dimensional nanosheets. So you will be hearing two-dimensional materials in today's, I think today or tomorrow, you have a talk on this material elaborately. Now, we will go, our material, whatever we are interested here today, is one-dimensional nanofibers. Nanofibers have one-dimensional nanomaterial with diameter ranging from 10 to 1000 nanometer. Nanofibers have attracted enormous research interest due to properties like extremely high surface area to volume ratio, enhanced porosity and surface functionality, and fine and light. These are fine, light, and it is having very much attention in recent time actually. In the COVID scenario, there are a lot of application comes from this nanofiber that we will discuss anyway later. So in comparison, one-dimensional nanofibers are continuous. That is one difference compared to nanotubes, nanowires, and all. Nanofibers are continuous, high axial strength, and extreme flexibility. So you can see the comparison here, human hair nanofiber. 1 nanometer fiber equal to 100,000 of the human hair. So that difference you can see also cotton fiber. And now, what is the approximate distance between Earth and Moon? It is approximately 3,80,000. So if you are taking a 3 gram of nanofiber, the length of the 3 gram nanofiber will be approximately 3,80,000 kilometer. So you can imagine how that continuous nanofiber. The unique characteristic of these nanofibers nanofiber fabrication method we are talking earlier known as electrospin. So nanofibers can fabricate electrospinning phase. Electrospinning is a versatile technique, fabrication technique, one highly interconnected nano changed. Similarly, this making of the pasta. So all are kind of we are spinning the material or getting to the nano fiber edging, but for getting nano fiber using electrospinning or electrospinning. So we will discuss detail about that process in the next slide. So electrospinning has a unique ability to produce highly porous and interconnected nanofiber to volume ratio, as I mentioned. This electrospinning setup, also I told electrostatic spinning. So here, how can we get the nanofiber? It's a very simple operation. It consists of a syringe pump and a high voltage power supply and one collector. So you are taking a polymer solution in a syringe with a metallic needle and is connected to a syringe pump. The polymer solution should have sufficient viscosity. Say honey-like consistency should be there. The initial polymerization comes from the syringe as a spherical droplet. Spherical droplet is minimized first and when you apply high electrical potential, say from 5 to 50 kilovolt, the polymer droplets are getting charged and they will repel each other. During this process, the droplet will elongate and form a conical shape. That conical shape is known as Taylor cone. When further increasing the voltage, will have a overcome surface tension effect. When the electrostatic force overcomes surface tension effect, polymer jet will eject from the tip of the Taylor cone. During the flight of this jet towards the collector, there will be a collector, as I mentioned. During the flight, it undergoes thousands and millions of times stretching due to various stabilities on the polymer jet. With solvent get evaporated and the solid fiber collect over the is grounded. So then nano, because this time it stretches thousands and million times and we will get the fibers in the nano regime. Now, by tuning the collector geometry, if we are using a flat collector like this, we will get a non-aligned fibers. If we are using the rotating collector, then we will get aligned fibers. So, as mentioned, this electrospinning process is to draw fine fibers from polymer solution. Integration contract the surface of the structured droplet, so that a structured droplet will be known as Taylor cone. Fluid jet from the tip of the Taylor cone will come and deposit as fiber. So next slide, I think you will be able to see the video. Please, anyone can respond if you are you seeing the video. It is
Yes,
very
ma'am.
important. Okay, so this is what I explained. So 164 comes surface tension from the tip of the Taylor cone. This jet is ejecting. It is undergoing structure and finally it is under SEM for all these nanofibrous architectures. Now, to produce a core shell nanofiber, electrospinning. For coaxial electrospinning, there is a special spinneret. The mechanism is same only, but there is a special spinneret consisting of coaxial capillary will be there. Inner core and outer sheath solution has to be taken. So there will be a parallel syringe pump will be there. So in one, we have to take inner core and then outer solution. This any one solution should be electrospinnable. There will be different material property which associated with whether it is spinnable or not. Main thing is the concentration, the critical entanglement concentration, molecular weight, that and all depends on the spinnability of a polymer. So any one should be spinnable by the spinnable solution. So sheath solution acts as the guidance to the core solution to be drawn as a fiber. Slide be clear more. So here this is the coaxial setup. A compound Taylor cone will form here. You can see here the outer sheath solution is getting and it is undergoing Taylor cone and it is taking the inner solution also and forming a core shell nanofibers. This is the properties of core shell nanofiber. It should have electrospinnable sheath. Any one solution should be electrospinnable. Higher sheath solution viscosity should be there. Low interfacial tension between core and shell and high conductivity of the sheath solution. So it will assist the formation of core solution also to form nanofiber. This is an image showing the core shell nanofiber. Then melt spinning is a different aspect, that here instead of polymer solution there will be using melt. For that we have to use a separate heating apparatus for melting sample. One disadvantage is melt spinning produces fiber which are thicker than those produced from solution spin. an advantage is that we have to use a proper solvent for this normal solvent electrospinning, but here solvents are not required. So multi-compound system blends compositors in many cases where there is no common solvent will not be there. Suppose two poly, if non-solvent, it will be difficult to spin. In such case, melt spinning will be advantageous. So this is the electro setup which we used in IIST for doing my PhD work. Now, applications, when we are talking about biological application, extensive research is being undertaken for developing specialized system in biomedical field. With nanofibers attract mammoth attention in this area due to their well-known properties such as large surface area to volume ratio I told, and then enhanced surface functionality, better cell material interaction. So there are many polymer which can be used as a biomedical scaffold for tissue engineering. So nanofiber exhibit enhanced cell ingrowth and proliferation. Sorry. So coming to the biomedical field, so we can have tissue engineering, drug delivery, wound dressing are the main major. Apart from this also, cancer application, so many applications are there, biosensors are there. So tissue engineering, drug delivery, for this, what is the advantage of this nanofibers? It mimics the natural extracellular matrix. So our natural extracellular matrix consists of collagen fibers and other natural polymer based fibrous structures are there. So this nanofibers exactly mimic the mainly natural polymers. So we have to see why natural polymers are advantages on this. So one is natural polymers are biomimetic properties are there for biomimetic environment for tissue engineering. And natural polymer have the advantage of being identical to macromolecular substance. So electrospinning natural polymer, how we can do that, we have to see now. Before that, I am showing some of the example which is nanofibers are used for tissue engineering application. One is chitosan. Chitosan is a natural polymer. Now they nanofiber which form of the chondrocytoblast. Some of the references for literature, and you can see good viability to incorporate drug materials into these natural polymers, and it will be used as a wound dressing and drug delivery application. Here you can see the nanofibers with some of the drugs incorporated for wound healing application. Here electrospun collagen scaffold which can be used to fabricate skin substitute with optimal cellular organization. This is a graft where this graft on so sorry, you can see wound healing occurring how using this nanofibers after incorporating the drug molecules. So as I told, polymers and synthetic polymers. In polymer, we have extra fibrous chitosan also we can use. So, what is our aim in what develop nanofibers match natural by the cytotoxic effect. Cellular matrix, collagen or gelatin based extracellular matrix. For that, we have to use some natural polymer nanofiber by minimizing the cytotoxic effect. So as I told, why natural polymer? Because it mimics the extracellular matrix. The nanofiber, that also we have already answered. It is having a very good cell material interaction. Surface to volume ratio is higher and it mimics the ECM. Now, how cytotoxicity is coming? What is cytotoxicity that we have to see? So, for making nanofibers using natural polymer, there are some hurdles. One is solvents. What is available for natural polymers is organic solvent, which is very much toxic to human body or cells. So, to find out a very suitable solvent, so benign solvent system for natural polymer is a challenge here. So when we use gelatin, you can see here gelatin is in water will undergo gelation. You can see here it is undergoing gelation. So we cannot do electrospinning using this particular solution. If you are using organic solvent, it is cytotoxic also. So it is better to find out a optimized solvent concentration which is proven to be non-cytotoxic. For that, different water acetic acid mixture is tried, and we got 8:2 volume by volume water acetic acid mixture. It is not forming gel. Then to electrospin this, we have done different concentration of the gelatin solution. Gelatin is a natural polymer. It's a collagen derived natural polymer. So by varying the concentration, as I told, lower concentration will give beaded structure, which is clear from our experiment also here. So as the concentration increases, number of beads are reduced. And here it is the, what is the solvent system we have used here. And then concentration is 30% we used. Then what these are the electrospinning, optimized electrospinning parameter after doing a lot of trial and error optimization procedure. So we got nanofibers with a very fine structure, and there is no beaded structures are available here. Beaded morphology is available. So using now, next step is we need to use this gelatin nanofiber. We know that it will mimic extracellular matrix properties. So we can use it as a tissue engineering scaffold or drug delivery, whatever. For that use, we have to use in water medium. So when after rinsed with water, we saw that this nanofibers are completely lost its morphology. So how can we use this in water medium? For that, we need to do some cross-linking with some other material. So second hurdle of natural polymer nanofiber by electrospinning. Second challenge is this one. First is a solvent. Then second one is solubility in aqueous medium. But all our cell growth and everything has to be happen in the aqueous medium. So for that, we need to do cross-linking. For cross-linking also, what are the material available was glutaraldehyde for gelatin. Gelatin is containing amino group. So it is a well-known cross-linking agent for gelatin was glutaraldehyde. There was a lot of reports available that gelatin electrospinning with cross-linking with the glutaraldehyde, and it is maintained in the morphology. So, but problem is glutaraldehyde is having cytotoxicity. Here you can see the pros and cons. Glutaraldehyde effective and suitable cross-linking agent. The vapor can be used. Just we can expose the nanofiber to glutaraldehyde vapor, it will get cross-linked. However, it is toxic to living tissue. Whenever after doing cross-linking, it can release unreacted glutaraldehyde that will also cause cytotoxicity. So to find an alternative cross-linking agent, we were trying. So dextran is a polysaccharide. So when we found that dextran can be used as a cross-linking agent for gelatin after modifying this dextran. So dextran modification is done by dextran sodium peroxide oxidation of dextran to form dextran aldehyde. So these OH groups are converted to carbonyl group, and finally this amino group of the gelatin react with the aldehyde group, forming a cross-linking reaction. So this is our nanofiber. It is cross-linked with the dextran aldehyde. There are also a lot of experiments are conducted because this dextran is soluble in sodium borohydride, which is called borax, and ethanol borax mixture. So when in borax also, if water is there in the solution, it is whatever happen, our gelatin undergoes dissolution nanofiber. So the optimizer solvent for dextranaldehyde also we have to find out. So cross-linking of nanofiber mat in 7:3 ethanol borax mixture was good and helpful, and then we got nanoporous structure without affecting the morphology. Okay, so this is the properties after modification of the dextran aldehyde. So different molecular weight dextrans are studied, and we got here you can see dextran aldehyde cross-linked and uncross-linked. In B, we have dissolved uncross-linked gelatin we kept in water, and here dextran aldehyde cross-linked gelatin we kept in water, and you can see the difference. This dextran aldehyde crossing gelatin nanofiber was intact even after putting in water. However, uncross-linked one is dissolved after some time. Okay. Now, one things we observed is it will undergo dissolution, swelling behavior after some time when we are putting in water. So we studied the swelling behavior also, and then so this a lot of characterization on this material we have done. I am not going to the details of that. So come to the result. We can say that as per nanofiber, this is dextranaldehyde cross-linked gelatin nanofiber. What happens is these are the properties we got. The denaturation and from DSC, and then mechanical property. We observed that the stability is increased, then mechanical strength also, mechanical property also increased, like stress at break, strain at break, Young's modulus, everything is increased as a result of the cross-linking with the dextranaldehyde. This is a cell culture study we have conducted using mouse fibroblast cell L929. That is initial cell we used to study the cell culture. You can see this PVC is a positive control, and this negative HDP is negative control. In HDP, high density polyethylene, PVC polyvinyl chloride. So these two we used as a reference. This is dextranaldehyde gelatin nanofiber cross-linked one. You can see that similar to this negative HDP, it is grown, but in PVC all cells are died. So, and here also we can see the live cell and the dead cell. This is a merge cell. This indicates that DAGNF is a very good medium for cell growth. To further analyze that, is living cell only. So wherever living cell only, we will get these features. So we can say that this DAGN dextranaldehyde gelatin nanofibers are very much biocompatible plus cytotoxic compared to glutaraldehyde. You can see comparison. This proliferation study using the material and calorimetric assay using MTT 3,4,5 dimethyl thiol. This is a method to study the cell proliferation. After a few days, how the cells are growing. So this dextranaldehyde gelatin nanofiber 3 to 5 days is increasing, but glutra is decreasing as a result of this MTSA we got. So it is that glutaraldehyde is really toxic to cells, and dextranaldehyde gelatin nanofibers are biocompatible. So this is again different cell we have studied, osteoblast like cells for studying the biocompatibility, and found that it is very good performance. And similar to this dextranaldehyde cross-linking agent, one more cross-linking agent we have used, that is sucrose aldehyde. That is much easier than dextranaldehyde for dissolution purpose and all. So in this again and further this oxidized sucrose used for cross-linking with gelatin. So here you can see the SEM morphology of cross-linked nanofiber before swelling, after swelling. So that means that even after cross-linking and swelling, the fiber morphology is maintaining. Similar to dextraldehyde, we are seeing that sucrose cross-linked nanofiber also maintaining its structure. This nanofiber will be like a mat. That's why you can see here. We can peel off from the collector, as I told earlier. Only we are doing all the analysis here. These are the properties studies, mechanical, spectral, thermal properties to show the improvement in performance of sucrose aldehyde cross-linked gelatin nanofibers. Just a second. ഇപ്പൊ വേണോ? നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. ഇപ്പൊ വേണോ? ആണോ? എവിടെയാ? Excuse me, sir. Just a second. So coming to the biological studies of this sucrose aldehyde cross-linked gelatin nanofiber also, we are seeing very good cell performance even after cross-linking with sucrose aldehyde, similar to dextranaldehyde. Study and we saw that after 1 and 3 days, the performance, cell proliferation, growth is like use of blast cell, which is about nanofiber we were dissolving in acetic acid water mixture. So to check any alternative, we did made cationized gelatin by using this reaction. So we have amino group is introduced into gelatin, more amino group. So this after getting more amino group into the gelatin, what happens is this gelatin is protonated and it is called cationized gelatin. So what we observed is it is getting dissolved in water. So initially we are having acetic acid water mixture, we found out. Then now it is getting dissolved in pure water, which is a universal solvent, and which is we can use for biological application. So same, you can see gelatin in water will be like this, but after cationizing, after doing the amination process, after cationizing our gelatin, it is dissolving in water. This is what you can see here. And so this cationized gelatin, again we have electrospun with different concentration is required. Whatever optimized for gelatin nanofiber, that parameters are gone. Now we have to again optimize for cationized gelatin with different concentration, different current, voltage, everything. Based on that, we studied the cationized gelatin nanofiber. And then we already developed two natural cross-linking agents for gelatin nanofiber, that is dextranaldehyde and sucrose aldehyde. And we proved that it is biocompatible and affecting this, it is giving the cell growth much more than glutaraldehyde. So the same cross-linking agents are tried in this case, and we have studied the cell culture performance. These are the characterization, which we are not going to the details of that. So here also we can see that improved performance of cell performance and cell growth is observed even after modification of the gelatin using cationization. So this is much better than the previous, because previous gelatin nanofiber had acetic acid content also in that. Now we have completely avoided that. So here you can see a beautiful merge image of the nuclei. Actin and nuclei are for live cells are visible here, and you can see the dextran and sucrose aldehyde cross-linked cationized gelatin showing very good cell proliferation also. Now, as I told, gelatin, that the difficulty in spinning, and then how we have used a solvent like that. But in the case of chitosan, even though we have different solvent, the spinnability of chitosan is very poor. So, as I told you about the core shell nanofiber, if one of the polymer, one of the solution is spinnable, then we can use another solution without spinnable also. So why can't we merge these two? So chitosan also is a polysaccharide, but this is used for various biomedical application, especially in drug delivery and tissue engineering only, and wound dressing application. So our next aim was to develop gelatin as a core material and chitosan as shells. So coming to, as I discussed in the coaxial electrospinning setup, similar setup we also had. So we made a core shell structured nanofibers using purely natural origin. Till this study, only they were doing gelatin chitosan nanofibers are fabricating using synthetic polymer and post treatment. So synthetic polymers are used instead of natural. But here we are using two natural polymers, gelatin and chitosan. They are made in the form of a core shell nanofibers. And this is the TEM image and SEM image of the developed gelatin chitosan core shell nanofibers by electrospinning technique. As I told, chitosan is difficult to spin. So chitosan nanofiber prepared normally either by trifluoroacetic acid or by using synthetic polymer as additives using acetic acid. So we have avoided all these conditions. We employed aqueous acetic acid and as a solvent for chitosan and gelatin nanofibers. So here again we optimized the electrospinning parameters, and this is the TEM beautiful TEM image showing the core and shell structure of the nanofibers. Again, we have studied all the cell structure, morphology, and the cross-linking, mainly using our established cross-linking agents, dextranaldehyde and sucrosaldehyde. And this is the cells cultures experiments on this core shell nanofiber. Here also you can see cell grow abundantly on both the dextran and sucrosaldehyde cross-linked chitosan core shell nanofiber, chitosan gelatin core shell nanofiber. Here chitosan this gelatin is assisted the formation of chitosan nanofiber to get the core shell structure. Now, another experiments we did on this is using graphene oxide incorporated material. So graphene is a one atom thick planar sheet, which all of us know it's a wonder material, and it is easily dispersed in water and other different matrices due to presence of oxygen, because graphene oxide, from graphene we can make graphene oxide because graphene is having poor functionality, and then after making it to graphene oxide, it will be dissolving in we can disperse in different solvent. So our polymer also we can disperse this graphene, and after dispersing graphene oxide into polymer, we could do electrospinning of the graphene oxide gelatin nanofiber. Gelatin graphene oxide mixture we have electrospun to form geogelatin nanofiber, and again these process parameters are optimized based on the new composition. So you can see these are the nanofiber photos. 0% geo, this is a pure gelatin nanofiber. So this is up to different concentration of graphene is incorporated, and we tried electrospinning on that. So this graphene oxide, this is a TEM image of graphene oxide incorporated gelatin nanofiber. So for that also we need improvement in mechanical. We found that compared to pure gelatin nanofiber, when we incorporate graphene oxide, its mechanical strength increased. And again we found that this is graphene oxide got incorporated a gelatin nanofiber. When put it in water, it's completely dissolved. So again, it is essential to do the cross-linking process. So with the DA and SA, dextranaldehyde and sucrosaldehyde, we have done the cross-linked treatment. Here we have shown the dextranaldehyde cross-linked nanofiber, graphene gelatin nanofiber. And further, we studied cell culture, cell proliferation, and found that it is biocompatible. The presence of graphene also, graphene oxide also, it is biocompatible. And then we loaded one gentamicin, which is an aminoglycoside antibiotic. All we know that gentamicin antibiotic. When gentamicin added to this nanofiber, and the drug release study also we have studied. This is the bacterial growth also we studied, and we can see after incorporating gentamicin into the graphene oxide gelatin nanofiber, there is no bacteria present here. So it is having very good antibacterial properties. Then apart from this much biological studies, we also studied some other application of this nanofiber. For that, till biological study, we are dealing with the natural material, how to minimize cytotoxicity. So polymers, gelatin and chitosan, cation acid gelatin, we played with all natural things, and we have developed dextranaldehyde and sucrosaldehyde cross-linking. Then later we switched on to some other synthetic polymer for some other application, that is wiping substrate based on electrospin polystyrene nanofiber. So using polystyrene polymer, we done electrospinning process, and SEM image is showing very nice porous structure here. So it is different than the fiber. So we used this matrix electrospin mat and use some silver and gold nanoparticles and incorporated into these pores. And we found that micromolar concentration of pesticide and explosive can be detected using this kind of gold and silver nanoparticle incorporated nanofiber. So this what is in this hand is a flexible nanofiber structure after incorporating gold nanoparticle. And if we are so this is actually defense application, as I told earlier, multitude of applications like defense, biology, and energy. Lot of applications are there. We are touching only one or two area only. So here in this defense application, this trinitrotoluene RDX, like that explosives will be taking. So people can easily get it. If some maybe in the bag and all, any small minute quantity is there. So that can be detected using Raman spectroscopy. So normally micromolar solution, we will not get any response in Raman spectroscopy, but after adding this nanomaterials into this electrospin nanofiber, we found that the signals are increasing. That is because of the property known as surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. So that phenomena is giving the enhanced signal due to the, it's a surface sensitive technique actually. This SER, surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy, is a surface sensitive technique which enhances Raman scattering by molecules adsorbed on the rough material surface like nanostructures. This is by plasmonic magnetic, some plasmonic resonance interactions are there. We are not going to detail, but this we can use for measuring the micromolar quantities of such components. So here we studied RDX and DNT, dinitrotoluene, which is explosives using silver and gold nanoparticle incorporated into the electrospin nanofibers. So this is the graph again showing the increasing intensity of the signal. And here carbofuran, another pesticide also we studied, which also showing the improved performance after loading into the nanofibers. So these are the study we have done in, and this is the summary. So we have talked about from nano structures to nanofibers, and then how the nanofibers are developed, and what is natural molecules such as dextran and sucrose. We established that it's a suitable crosslinker for gelatin based nanofiber. so which can replace the existing toxic cross-linking agents. Then green fabrication method of gelatin nanofiber is realized using cationically modifying the gelatin, which showed better self-adhesion performance. The nanofiber with the chitosan shell can also be proved that it can be fabricated using gelatin. Then mechanical property gelatin improved by incorporating graphene oxide, and antibacterial property also improved. Then we also study the flexible surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy of the pesticide and explosive, which can micromolar quantities detected using nanoparticles incorporated into the electrospun nanofibers. So these are the study, and I acknowledge Dr. Nirmala Madam. She is my research supervisor from IAST, and then Dr. Jobin Siriak, with whom I worked on this Raman spectroscopy studies. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Jalaja.
Hello.
Thank you. Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can ask to Dr. Jalaja, please.
In a chat box, anything comes, sir? Can you chat 3? I will check.
Yes. Okay.
There is one question, how to make it positive or negative charged. So generally for electrospinning process, we are make that connections are given such a way that our polymer will be the positive charge, and that the collector will be grounded. So that connection, based on that, our polymers will be positively charged generally.
Okay, ma'am. Got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Webinar with the topic. Thank you, Viras, for always encouraging us and providing opportunity to organizing such events. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I think, Said sir, you can give any other instructions if there is any instruction for the next sessions and the coming sessions.
Sir, I'm sorry if this internet connection, I was also not happy because it was coming and going.
It's
So,
okay. It's okay.
I hope
okay,
that
ma'am.
students might have got some idea about it. Is not for complete training. It is giving a glimpse or an idea about our work and what is the experience in lab that we have done.
Yeah, at least we are very happy that means you joined with us.
Thank you, sir.